I asked him what his favorite dirty joke was.
Oh,
I can only remember the concept.
An eyeless woman entered sex.
I like that. That sounds real good.
Do you have
How
one?
are you? No, I don't like dirty jokes. I'll think of what it is later. It's been a while. I will. I'll give you one. It's Playboy. I mean, come on.
I gotta ask.
But I gotta give a good one.
Yeah.
No offense to yours.
I didn't have it. I
Better
couldn't
than
figure
the
it out.
cartoons.
Cartoons are my favorite.
You like them?
We put something in Derek and Silent, like Santa Claus with a boner. Like I remember like there was some Santa Claus with a boner. I remember like as a kid, and I don't even remember what the joke was. I just remember that visual being like weird, funny, weird, funny, weird, funny.
You were reading Playboy as a kid?
Yeah, I'm find my dad's.
As you should.
Sorry, Dad.
It's okay, he's not listening.
Yeah,
Did he really try hard to hide them though?
yeah, all the way in the basement.
Yeah.
Amateur hour.
10 feet away. So you guys good?
Yeah.
Good.
As the creators, I just had a question of like, you guys have done a lot of cities, a lot of like this season introduced the new concept of instead of doing a city, you do like a theme with the sports and the leading ladies. Do you prefer that format, or do you prefer kind of the more city and the 3 stories of a city?
Well, I mean, I think it's depends on the story and the theme. I hate to sound cliche, but we're doing this season. We're doing 4 or 5 themes. 5.
Let's see. Games,
Yeah.
inventors, spies,
Space.
4. We'll say 4.
I thought there was one more. Okay, we have a lot this year.
Journalism.
But journalism.
Oh, yeah.
But we're gonna come up with a better name for it.
Yeah, if you guys have any ideas for a better name.
The press.
For people who
The
drink.
press.
Okay, the press.
I like this just in. Or
Yeah.
Breaking news.
extra. We're doing a newsy story. Yeah.
The Newsies.
But yeah, it just depends on the story and if the. Well, because we just find the best stories and then we just figure out, oh, would that work as a theme or would a couple of these work in a city? You know what I mean? So we never go like, we're going to do the spies. We go, let's find the best stories and then figure out the reason why we're learning about them.
How do you go about finding the stories?
We have a team of researchers that work for about 2 months before we start working with the narrators and letting them learn what we found. Yeah.
And we've been collecting stories over the years, and people have come to us and said that they wanted to tell stories. But in this 2 months is when we really narrow it down and figure out with these researchers, what the stories are. And also, like, a lot of times we have a story that we love and we're so excited about, and we give it to the researcher, and it turns out that is not a true story.
Which sucks. It happens all the time. Or I go like.
Do you have an example of one that you liked and wasn't?
I feel like there was some Nancy Reagan astrology stuff.
Oh, I really wanted to do that because I thought that was really fascinating. Where I read that Nancy Reagan was obsessed with astrology, and somehow like her astrologist helped like dictate what Ronald Reagan was gonna make choices and control our country and world. And I thought that was so great. And then they researched and they're like, no, they just had a friend that like knew that kind of stuff, but they weren't really that into it. I'm like, but how do you know? Let's just do the story.
I remember it was the only source for that story was the astrologer herself.
Yeah, speaking like, well, they listened to everything I said. Yeah.
So it just seemed like.
But sometimes there's people that you like that then you try to get a good story out, and it's just like, people say like, what do you want to avoid? And I would say that sometimes you go down a road like, oh, I always heard this guy was great, and then the more you learn, you're like, you know what, he wasn't great. And it's not like, oh, let's ignore that bad shit he did. It's just like, why rebuild bad shit? Just rebuild good shit that we should have been taught, not the bad stuff,
So you would say you focus more on like the positive history than the negative?
Yeah, but it's still the honest. I would say the honest, and I think that bringing up like a past of like a dark time and finding something good in it that's true and not like, you know, being trite or just bullshitting people is true. But yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to sound like a huge optimistic, but like I think it is. I think it's better. I don't want to be depressed.
We also like
History's already depressing. Let's make it funny and like, oh yeah, oh wait, shit, I just learned something. Hey, maybe that's relatable to what's going on in today. Because it all's the same.
we also like making Washington the bad guy. You know, we enjoy both sides.
That's fun too. Someone who's really good, make them not evil, but you know, Washington's a lot. You know, Lincoln was a liar. I mean, everyone's a fucking liar. So let's have fun and admit we're all the same.
Have you had any politicians interested in doing a drunk history? I know, like, liability-wise, it might be hard, but has anybody come to
Getting
you?
drunk?
Or, yeah, like any unusual people wanting to tell us, wanting to participate.
I remember somebody
No
once
Obama
told us.
interest?
No. I remember
What'd
somebody.
you say?
No Obama interest?
No.
Making the rounds these days.
Of getting drunk? Yeah, that would be a great choice. Yeah,
If you guys have any connections.
yeah, we'll supply the beer. No, I don't have any. No, I wish
Someone
I
once
did.
telling us that Gore Vidal really loved the show. And we were like, let's get him. But nothing ever.
Would you guys ever revisit a city? So like I do stuff for my college application in Emerson, and we really loved the Boston episode. And you picked some really cool things about Boston that no one really knows about, like the Isabella Stewart Gardner stuff.
Yeah.
Would you ever go back and do like maybe things people know, like the Freedom Trail or Paul Revere or the Adams Brothers or something like Bunker Hill?
Yeah. Our show doesn't have rules, you know.
So you would go back and revisit the city.
It wouldn't
I
be
think
a Boston.
it wouldn't be
episode.
called Boston. It would be called something else, but it could be taking place. It'd be weird to do Boston Part 2, you know.
Yeah.
But figure out
Could set a precedent.
exactly.
We did we would come up with like a theme, like a Founding Fathers episode.
Right.
Or we would try to figure out how a theme or another city or something could work if we really, really fell in love with the story and wanted to tell it.
Do you guys think that the show could have happened without the internet?
No, I don't.
And could you
Because
stump on that?
I will. Because pitching the show was the hardest thing without anything behind it. Like, it was very confusing to anyone to be like, well, I don't get it. So, like, you gotta pretend to be drunk and I don't know. And it was just very confusing. And I understand it's a visual idea, you know. So to be able to shoot it, and when we did it, it was just for a one-time thing at UCB in Los Angeles where I perform and was showing it there, and it was just that. And it was at a time where internet comedy, I was a real big snob then, where I felt like people were judging comedy on the hits and not like the content, and so I like didn't want to do anything with the internet for comedy, and then passed it around and no one responded to it, and then it went on the internet and got on the front page of YouTube, and
There was a front page of YouTube.
remember that?
It was like a thing. You'd have, like,
That
the
was a
top
real
10.
exciting thing.
Not just your top 10, like what the
Yeah.
world considered the top 10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think even if we put it up online after that change, we might never have had any success with it.
But the best way to answer it is the reason why it wouldn't have existed is because Comedy Central's been very great, but no matter what network we would have been with, we would have never gotten the show on TV. It'd be like, there's no way. How would that work? How would you get, but because we already had a fan base, they invested on, it was a risk, definitely, but without the internet, we wouldn't have
I still can't pitch the show. And then my mom's friends were like, what's the show you're doing? And I'm like, someone gets drunk. It's a big mess. So.
Yeah, but you guys have proved that you have appeal to the masses. And you proved that not through ratings or through some person being like, I believe in you, but because what you've made appealed to so many people. It's a blend of highbrow and lowbrow. What advice would you give to other media makers to make content that appeals to the masses, or good content that has mass appeal?
I think when your goals are that, you're never going to win. But if your goals are, what do I find interesting, funny, whatever the thing that you're trying to do is, do that, because when you do that, it's not going to be like anything else. I know that sounds like some elementary school teacher would say, but it's just true of like, we never planned that, it's just like, it'll be fun. That's a weird idea. And we originally called it the Drunk History Channel. And then Jeremy's like, I don't want it to sound like it's a parody of the History Channel. It's a great note.
I was what's that scene in the Facebook movie? I was the Justin Timberlake. No channel.
So going into the third season, coming up from the internet onto a network now, and going into the third season, do you guys feel more pressure to do it certain ways?
Less.
To push it, or less pressure?
Less pressure. I do. You? Yeah, it's nice.
Awesome.
It feels good. It's nice that not like, it's still like, because you still want to do it again, so it's not like you're going to slack off. But there's less like, do we have enough stories about this? It's like, these are just the best stories that we found this year. But there's a lot more,
Do you find you have more now coming at you and people responding and sending ideas?
You wouldn't believe how much history has happened. It's insane. I mean, these books, it just keeps going. Jeez, we've been around a while. No, but it's a lot of fun.
What has been your favorite kind of historical thing that you've learned in the past 3 seasons?
That's a great question and a hard answer to give. I've not been able to answer that.
I am, for selfish reasons, I'm fortunate to have my answer, which is that I got drunk this year, and so my story was to me the most fascinating so far, which was the Mulholland stealing the water for Los Angeles, and I got super into that and became really obsessed. And Tenacious D is in it, and I was really happy about that. But
That's this season.
But
In our Los Angeles episode, which is where Jeremy's from.
We have that dirty joke
My mom's gonna be real proud of me, but my brother's gonna be real ashamed of me. I can't think of one. I just remembered this one. It's not even that dirty, but it's like a kid. It's like in the shower with his dad, and he like looks at that and he's like, "What is that?" And he's like, "There's 2 different versions." It's like, "That's my car, son." I say, "Oh, okay." And then he takes a shower with his mom, and he's like, "What's that, Mom?" She's like, "Oh, that's my garage. Remember that thing?" And he's like, "Mom, your dad's trying to park his car in your garage." But there really was no like punchline to that. It was just like, oh my God, they were fucking. But it was that one, and there was like a snake. It was like, "That's my snake," and she said it's her garden. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Very Shakespearean.
You should talk to Karen. He gave the exact same joke, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you being serious?
Yeah.
With the punchline.
Exact joke.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows.
Taryn, I just told the exact same dirty joke. They're like, it's the same joke Taryn told. I did the car and parking the garage.
Yeah. I've already been refining it in my head since I told you. It's been a decade and a half. It's so funny.
And I remember Snake in the garden.
Snake in the garden.
Yeah.
My Jeep's already in there. Sorry, Dad, my Jeep's already in there.